So the first thing you want to do, right, is look at um, the first thing you want to look at is the date of incorporation, right, of the company that you plan on investing in. Now, you may not have the time of incorporation, which would be even better if by some means you could get the time, right? But let's just say you have the date of incorporation. You want to look at that specifically as like a birth chart for the company or for
Yeah.
the the entity that you're going to invest in, right? That is the chart that kind of guides the life of what it is that you're dealing with, right? That has to be examined thoroughly because you need to match that with the actual stock that it represents, right? Meaning that the planet has a inter interconnection, right, with whatever it is that's being sold or whatever services are being rendered.
Yeah.
Right, so you have to look at those things very closely. For example, let's just say, for example, you're looking at a company and the company has a product and you see Venus is damaged, right? That company is not going to have a very good PR department, right? PR is crucial in making money, right? Coca-Cola, Pepsi, right? You name it, they have a PR department, right? PR doesn't include just public relations in the sense that uh, you deal with uh, you have the face of the company, right? It intimately also deals in how the company can literally save face or rebound, right, from an issue. Because remember, markets are meant to flux, right?
Yeah.
They're meant to fluctuate. If Venus is strong, they can impact the public very well, right? Their branding is done properly, right? That's something that is not taught, but you must understand it's not mentioned in any of the real texts, but understanding that Venus is the power to woo the people. It's literally the ability to sell your brand, right? If that Venus is weak in the chart, especially of course depending upon what the commodity or what the market or whatever it is that you're looking to invest into, right? If Venus is weak, right, it's a good chance that the company won't do well, right, in times of peril or in times
Hmm.
that kind of are like this. You want to invest in those companies that are going to literally, when the tough gets going, right, the opposite happens, right? They can withstand the storm, which holds your money in some protective way, right? It protects your money in some kind of right way where you're not worried that if something happens, it's going to go bye bye, right?
Yeah.
That's just an
Um,
example. Go ahead.
got a question. So, in regards to just something you mentioned, a little second ago, um, how would one go about finding the time of incorporation for a company? Have you come across that before? Where have you seen that information at?
You just have to know the people that you're dealing with
Okay, so you're talking about someone to
firsthand
know
knowledge.
that you
Yeah.
have to know that person to. Okay, all right, I get what you're saying.
But if you
Indeed.
don't have the time of incorporation, you can get the date of incorporation.
Yeah.
That you can get usually, right? Especially from the bio or the portfolio that you're looking into. They usually have a date,
Yeah.
right?
It's
That's
public
usually what
information. You should be able to
yeah,
find that.
public information. Exactly. So if you see
Yeah.
Venus is debilitated with with no real strong indications that it can be offset, right? You might want to just be mindful of how they're going to deal with their public image, how they're going to deal with branding, how they're going to deal with impacting the public, how they're going to deal with um, the packaging, right? All those things are Venus, right? So that's important to know, right? All these other things, of course, are important to know, right? The CEO, which is the sun, right? In that chart, how well is the sun placed? And based on the commodity or the item being invested in or traded. That's another thing you have to look into. So again, that's the first piece is just the actual date of incorporation, date slash time of incorporation.
Yeah.
The next kind of thing that we want to consider here is you want to look at the date that the actual stock goes live, right? The IPO date, right? That date, you can get the time on that, right? If you're
Yeah.
watching carefully, you can get the time on that. They just had Airbnb, right? They just went. Their IPO just came out, and they started at $68. I think they went up to 128, 138 real quick. I don't know what has happened since then, but it was an excellent time for them to start that process because the way the planets were placed, right? And it probably would do fairly well considering, right, that things continue to go the way they go as far as COVID is concerned. Because if anything changes, every company is going to suffer, right? It just doesn't matter. But can they withstand that suffering? Can they withstand the storm? That's the difference,
Yeah.
right? So the other
Yeah,
piece of the puzzle,
that'd
of
be a
course,
good one. That right now, especially for a company like that,
hmm
because that's a tempting
very tempting.
stock. That'll be one to definitely run. I'm gonna do that myself.
Yeah, yeah,
For
check it
that
out.
one in particular. Yeah,
hmm You know,
because
following
times.
it's because of the times, right? It's just it's a very we got to see kind of thing, kind of deal, right? But they started off very well, right? Very well. Saturn is in a very good position, right, for Airbnb because Saturn represents land, right? Property, structures, buildings, right? Saturn is in Capricorn, right? Very solid, stable dealings when it comes to those types of ventures, right? Rahu is in Taurus, right? So so Saturn is trined with Rahu, and Rahu is tourism, right? Most people don't. How's Rahu tourism? Rahu is foreign cultures,
Yeah,
right? Anything that's not of your culture, right, is Rahu. And Airbnb is big because you can leave one country, go to another country, and be at home, right? So again, right, and there's other factors that were in play, right, with regards to that IPO. But again, right, looking at that, I would looking at when it goes live, and then watching it because literally it went from 68 to 128 in minutes. Right? So just good things to know, right? Know when the IPOs are going to drop. Be very keen, right, on watching the Motley's Fool, right? Because I do deal with trading. I deal with this right for my clients. So the Motley Fool, right, is a good place to subscribe if you're serious, right?
yeah,
They
yeah.
have a lot of good information on there, excellent information on IPOs, companies are going to drop, best good investments. They usually give you like a top five pick, a lot of things like that. There's another company that you can look at it's not doing so well, and it's kind of per because we're developing a different culture right now is what's happening. Online culture is becoming more prevalent just because the way everything is structured right now, and it's probably going to stay that way for a good while. People are not going to be, COVID slap hat. They're not gonna just jump out and get right back into society. It's going to be a gradual thing. And one of the companies that I was looking at investing in is Stitch Fix. People order clothes, they order outfits and things like that, and they're they have a very volatile type, stock. It starts off low, it kind of goes a little high, then it goes low, then it kind of maintain. Over the last 5 years, it's been very unstable, right, and not very rewarding just from an investment point of view. But let's say, for example, right, let's hope not, but let's say, for example, that for all intents and purposes, COVID lasts another 2.5 years, right? Stitch Fix's stock is going to go up. right? Because people are not going to stop wearing clothes, but they are going to stop shopping,
Yeah.
right? And so that's what I mean by watching, right, how those particular markets going to change. When Rahu enters into Aries, right, within the next year and a half, right, things are going to change drastically, right? So again, it's very good to watch, right, how Rahu and these planets move because it gives you a good beat on what's going to happen. But